Hey everyone, I'm Jason, and today I'm showing you my political button collection. First, I'll show you my buttons from the 2020 presidential campaign. First up, we have Bernie Sanders, and my first Sanders button looks different when viewed from different angles. So it says, "Not me, us," which was a favorite campaign phrase from Sanders on the trail in 2020. One of my Sanders buttons is from 2016. The rest are from 2020. A couple involve a rainbow color scheme. One includes a transgender pride flag. I also have pins from Elizabeth Warren's campaign. Andrew Yang's buttons include some fairly obscure references, including Make America Think Harder, or math. I imagine most people would have no idea what that meant if someone was just wearing that button in the wild. Some of his buttons include phrase humanity first as well, and a rainbow color scheme to boot. I have pins from Pete Buttigieg's campaign, as well as pins from Bill Weld's campaign. Bill Weld was a Republican governor in Massachusetts in the 90s. He was the Libertarian vice presidential nominee in 2016, and in 2020 he ran against Donald Trump in the Republican primary, garnering a total of 1 delegate to the Republican National Convention. Weld ran in that campaign and others as a social liberal. In 2020, Weld supported gay marriage, abortion rights, and marijuana legalization. Then I have buttons from the winning ticket of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I have a couple buttons from childhood, as well as one I picked up at a 2020 Martin Luther King Day celebration in Salina. I also have a button that reads, "Bad politicians are elected by good people who don't vote." A couple people who I've shown my button collection to dislike the sentiment expressed on that button. That was a button I picked up from the League of Women Voters in Salina when I was a reporter for the Salina Journal. And sometimes not voting is a valid choice, but when there's a clear difference between the candidates, particularly when one of the candidates is really bad and one of them isn't at least as bad, it's really important to get out and vote, even if you're not super enthusiastic about voting for somebody. But very often there are really good candidates, like the ones on this button board, at least in my opinion. Next, we have candidates who are not in presidential races. In the top corner, I have Sharice Davids, who is up for re-election this year in the Kansas 3rd Congressional District. She is running against Amanda Adkins. Then I have Chris Mann, who's running for Kansas Attorney General against conservative firebrand Chris Kobach. I have pins for Barbara Bollier. Her pins show a bowl with the word yay on it, because her name is pronounced Bollier. And it took me a long time to get that reference. And I imagine a lot of people who just saw that button in the wild would not get that reference either. Her name is most people would pronounce her name Bollier or Bollier rather than Bollier, but that is how it's pronounced. Bollier ran in 2020 against Roger Marshall for the Kansas U.S. Senate seat. Unfortunately, Bollier lost that election. Then I have a pin from Carl Brewer, who ran in the Kansas primary in 2018 for Kansas governor. In the Democratic primary, he ran against Laura Kelly and Josh Swati. Laura Kelly won the primary and went on to win the general election as well. This year, Laura Kelly is up for re-election against the current Kansas Attorney General, Derek Schmidt. I think Kelly has done a very good job as governor. Unfortunately, she never got around to making a button, so I couldn't buy one to add it to the collection. One more note on Brewer. Brewer died in 2020, so if he had been elected in 2018, he would have died a year and a half into his first term. So probably not the best use of his final time, probably best spent outside of the stressful pressures of the governorship. Then at the bottom, I have buttons for a couple candidates who are up this year in Texas. Beto is running for Texas governor against the incumbent Greg Abbott. Unfortunately, Abbott is strongly favored to win that election. And Rochelle Garza is running for Texas Attorney General against the incumbent Republican Ken Paxton. That race is actually pretty competitive. So Texas is, at least for now, a solidly Republican state, but potentially Garza, a former attorney for the ACLU, could pull an upset there. So these are my political buttons from, 2016 through 2022. All of them are for Democrats with the exception of Bill Weld, and the ones that aren't for a candidate per se. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing my buttons and hearing me talk about the various campaigns that they are from. As always, have a great day.